happy Thursday. It is Friday Eve. Hooray! How is everybody? Everybody. That's how we're going to do things today, apparently. Everybody. You never know what's going to come out of this mouth. How is everyone? There we go. Let us articulate. So, yeah, I am getting ready for Halloween. I don't know about you guys, but I am getting really, really excited. A lot of fun things going on around here and in our community. This is the perfect time of year to go check out your agritainment, as we like to call it in the Halloween industry. Being pumpkin patches and corn mazes and things like that. So if you've got those in your area, definitely go and support your local farmers because those dollars are super important to them. So just wanted to give a little shout out to all of those make words come out of my face. Hardworking people in your community. I know a lot of you all like to support local business. Please don't forget your farmers when it comes to supporting local business because they work very, very hard to put food on your table. All right, so what else is going on today? Today is also World Mental Health Day, which is super important. I feel like it's definitely worth talking about here because we are so fortunate that we have such a great group of friends over on Jesse James Secret Stash group on Facebook. If you guys are not a member of the Secret Stash, do yourself a favor when this video is over, go join the Secret Stash group. I have never been part of something so wonderful. It's such an amazing, inspiring, uplifting group of individuals. We are forming friendships. We are supporting each other and raising each other up and lifting each other up and inspiring each other, which is pretty awesome as well. So that just kind of, goes hand in hand with Mental Health Day because, maybe you don't have somebody in your life that you can reach out to, but you definitely can find somebody in the Secret Stash group. We had a really long discussion last week about anxiety and depression and other mental health issues that people face. And you're definitely not alone. There is a lot of us going through similar issues or have been through similar issues in their past. So don't hesitate to reach out. It is super, super important, to know that you're not alone, and you're not. So if you don't have anybody in your real life, then consider us your extended family and reach out to any of us because, we've all been there. We've all been there. All right. So what is the project for today? Oh, we're making earrings. Hello. Really? What is up with me today? Words are not happening. I'm seeing Suzanne say hello, and I want to say hello, but I also want to say hooray, and oh my gosh. Yeah. Talk about mental health. I might need a mental health break. Take a day off and just reset the insides here. Oh my goodness. So we're having a earrings project. That's where we're going. We'll get there eventually. Having a fun earrings project today. This one is really, really cool. The beads that we're using are from the Sally Mini Mix, part of the Halloween collection over on jessejamesbeads.com. There is a Sally mix, and then there's also a Jack mix. Both very different colorways here. I'm going to show you both of these just so that you can kind of get an idea and a feel for. Hi, silly Sarah. Donna says, hello to you. I am silly. I'm always silly. It's just, that's just who I am. But I'm going to show you both colorways here because this pair of earrings you could actually do with Sally or with Jack. We're going to do it with Sally, but I'm going to lay out some different beads for you so that you can kind of get an idea of some different options that you could use when putting together this earring from both of these mixes. So that'll be fun. It'll be fun. It will be an interesting set of earrings for you guys to see. If you've seen the teaser pic, you know where we're going. If you haven't, let me hold one up so you can see it. I have one that's already made. And this is going to be, I'm trying to find a way that the light doesn't. That's pretty good. Isn't that cute? Super, super cute. So this is another one of those projects where I'm going to show you how to do something and then you can take it and do it in other ways, which I love. And I always try to give that to you guys. I want to show you guys, a quick and easy wire tip that you can take and then use elsewhere in so many different ways. So even if you're not into making earrings, you can definitely take this some of the things that we do here and use them in other ways, which is super cool. I don't know if you guys have noticed, some of you have pointed this out, but it's definitely worth noting just in case you haven't really been paying attention. But I've been with Jesse James Beads for a while now. It's been several months actually, and we started out like on the very, very basic end of wire wrapping. And I don't know if you've noticed, I know some of you have because you did mention it to me, but we've been on a journey without you even knowing it. Some of you, we've started at the very beginning with some very basic things, and we have grown, and I'm showing you guys more advanced. There's still not hard things to do. For one thing, wire is not hard. I think there's kind of a stigma behind wire and wire wrapping. It's not as intimidating as I think a lot of stringers feel like it is. So I feel like we've gone on this journey together. We have started out with very, very simple things, and then we've kind of grown through all of our, projects with each other. So if you ever need a refresher on something, either reach out to me or check out one of the past video projects that we've done, because chances are I've answered the question or I've shown you something back when we very, very first got started. As a matter of fact, this pair of earrings is one of the very first pair of earrings, like the component. This is one of the first components that I taught you guys. And we're going to do it again today because we're growing, we're changing, we're showing different ways, all the different techniques, all the different things that you can do, and not just wire. We can do all kinds of things. It's just that I feel like our wire journey together has been really cool, because I've seen some of you that were beginners with wire really blossom into such creative wire wrappers. It's amazing. It makes me feel really good. So I'm glad that I'm here to help you guys. All right, so enough chit chat. Let's get started with looking at these beads, and then we're going to dive right into the project, okay? All right, you guys. Yes. Oh, Sarah says the Jesse James Beads blog is a great tool for inspiration. Yeah, if you ever want to go back and look at something and you don't want to go through all of the Facebook videos or whatever, you can go directly there to the blog and check out what's there. There are projects from forever ago that are still great projects and still great inspiration. So definitely check out the blog if you haven't done that. Hi, Emily. All righty, let's get started. All right, the glare is just terrible. All right, so we're going to start with the Sally mix because this is the one that we're actually going to use for the earrings project today. But you can use either one, Sally or Jack, for this earrings project, and I'm going to show you just exactly how to do that. But let's take a look at the beads first, because that's always fun. It's like a little show and tell. All right, so I'm going to dump these out. There are three, let's see, a few beads actually that are missing from this that I have pulled out. I'll just bring some of those back in here for you guys so that you can see them. All right, so one of the main parts of this little mini mix is Sally herself. And if you'll notice, everything in this mix is built around Sally's dress and what she looks like. Her outfit, she is on the softer side of the Halloween scale, obviously. She's got lots of pinks and blues and yellows going on. She does have that pop of bright red hair, which obviously makes me a fan. But there is definitely some black going on here, some gray that would definitely work with this. So you've got a color palette here that really is far-reaching. There is a lot of color here, a lot of different ways to interpret Sally and what she looks like. There are some little black roses, which I think are very fitting. There are these great big, beautiful magenta. These are like a deep, deep pink bead. They're so, so pretty. And this is probably my favorite out of the whole pack, because I love this tassel design in general, but to have it on a small scale like this, I think is super, super cool. The larger ones, there was a large one of these back in the Pride mix that was huge and stunning. And I really wished that I had two. There's two little ones in this. So yeah, those are gonna make some really cute little earrings for sure. There are some other glass beads that have the little roses in them. You can see there's the black on the inside with the green pops of the leaves. Some disco ball beads that have that metallic purple and gold that definitely ties right on back to Sally. And then these awesome mother of pearl beads. There are two of these. There's only one out here on the mat at the moment, but there are two of these that come in the mix. These are special design Jesse James beads exclusives right here. These are mother of pearl coin-shaped beads, and they have the pattern of Sally's dress on them, which is so cute. I love it. I love it. So we're actually using one of these as our focal bead for our earrings today. That's why there is one that is missing, but you do get two of these. I'm going to set that to the side because we're going to use it. Oh, there's more roses. Look, I didn't even realize how many roses there were. There are some copper colored spacers. I think the copper is a great metal color to go with all of this. The gold color works as well. Also, you could use silver. I mean, any of the metal colors are going to work, but I think it's cool to add the copper in here because it adds that kind of pop of pink. Almost a purple, I don't know, it's just this really yummy kind of warm coppery color that has that, or not really warm, it's a cool color rather. It's not a warm copper, it's a cool copper. But it definitely ties all of this together. And then there are these little teardrop beads in pink. It's a very understated, I know with the glare, it's hard for you to tell. This is kind of a mauve color. It's really an understated pink. This is not a like in-your-face Pepto-Bismol pink. And then these guys, which I think are super cute too, we're going to use these as well. It's just a really beautiful kind of muted teal, really soft blue-green color. Pam says she loves the ring on your right hand. Did you make it? I did not. I bought that on Etsy many, many years ago. I just thought it was very Halloween-y, so I popped it on this morning. But it's really easy to do. It's just a glass cabochon with an image behind it. You just use some diamond glaze and stick it into a bezel. Super easy to do. So there are also the little rectangle beads. There's some really small beads in here. There's that pop of red for her hair. There are cage beads, little tiny beads. I love it. It's a beautiful mix. And what's cool about it is when this earring is done, I'm going to show you how you can use some of these other beads in the earring as well. Okay, so lots of inspiration in today's project. All right, I'm going to put all these back in the little mini mix container, and then we're going to open up Jack and take a look at him, because you could make this exact same pair of earrings with Jack as well. And you can't have Sally without Jack. But it's really kind of interesting because the colorways are so very, very different. Two totally different color palettes that are representative of the same theme. Not just Halloween, but, you know, the movie itself and all good things. All Tim Burton good things. All right, so here is the Jack mini mix. And of course, you can see Jack is the star of our show. And this is a black and white and silver mix, but it does have the pops of yellow in it. And Sylvia says she would wear one of each on Halloween. Yes, I would too. Oh, Donna, we're going to miss you. Donna has to run, but she'll catch the replay. We'll be here. You will be here. All right, so dumping this one out so we can take a look at it. So one of the very first things that I noticed are these great tassels. The tassels are super, super cool. They are black and they have that metallic thread that runs through them. So they're definitely shiny and sparkly. Love those. Super, super cool. Joan says you need to make a necklace with both Jack and Sally. Would love to see how you do that. I can do that. I can do that this weekend and post some pictures for you guys next week if you want to see it. That's a really good idea. All right, so there are those tassels, but that's not it as far as tassels. There are 3 sets of tassels in this mix, which I think is cool. So if the metallic shimmer is not your thing, or you're using those in a different project and you want more tassels, there's just the black and white, which are super cute. These are just a step down smaller. And then you've got, last but not least, you've got some little baby tassels in the black, which are super awesome as well. Aren't those cute? I love tassels. I don't think tassels are ever going to go out of style. And if they do, I'm just going to keep using them. I don't even care. All right. So the star of our show, of course, is Jack. And he is just as cute as he can be. Really, really love Jack. I can string him up on a necklace. I can turn him into a pendant. He's going to look really cute as a bracelet, like the focal on a bracelet. I think that would be awesome. So there's Jack. All right, and then the famous scene of Jack on the heel. I don't know if you guys, surely you've seen the movie. I've seen the movie a million bazillion times, but in case you haven't seen the movie, so Jack is singing and he's pining away over Sally, and it's just this whole thing, and he's coming up on this hill that spirals and moves as he's walking and he's singing. So there's Jack singing away up on that moving hill, and like there's a cemetery, the graveyard down below. Just super, super cool. If you haven't seen the movie, now is your chance to see it. It works for both Halloween and for Christmas, and I actually have, well, I have several copies of it because I'm that kind of a weirdo, but I've got it pulled up over on my iPad to watch as I'm working because I just love it. I love it. I love it. I've always said that, like, Tim Burton is obviously one of the greats, but his vision is what the inside of my brain looks like. And maybe I shouldn't say that out loud. But like his vision and the way he creates a scene is really kind of like what the inside of my brain looks like sometimes. Yeah, I know, that's weird, right? But you've got the black and the white and the silver. There's definitely some bling in this mix, which I love. Cannot not have sparkle, right? And some cage beads in the silver color. But if you'll notice, there's that pop of yellow that's running through here, which is awesome. Like, that just takes this whole mix to another level. Like, this mix would have worked just being black and white and silver, but the addition of the yellow just really kind of like takes it to the Tim Burton place. You know what I mean? It has that very whimsical, more than just that classy black and white, but it takes it to a really whimsical place, which I think is just perfect. There are some rhinestone spacers in here, and these are that kind of matte silver finish to them, which I really like. It's not blingy in your face. There's some hematite spacers in here. There are some check glass beads that are just awesome. These are very elongated check glass, which I like. I know that it doesn't really look like it here as I'm holding them, but it's a little bit different shape. Then you've got some rondelles. You've got these little babies. Look at those. Aren't they cute? The little bubbly beads with the fabric on them. So you've got a really great mix. Both of these mixes look amazing. And if you're going to go shopping on these, you guys, wait till the video is over, wait till we're finished with our project, but go over to the Jessie James Beads website because the Swarovski is on sale, 25% off, all the Swarovski. And the orange Swarovski, you could actually use the orange Swarovski with Jack. You could use the orange words are hard, Swarovski with the pumpkin spice and everything nice mix that's included in the Halloween collection. And also that rosewater opal Swarovski mix, that would look really good with the Sally mix. I mean, that's just, they're like the perfect complement to each other. So check that out. That's a, 25% off Swarovski. You can't beat that at all. Like, seriously, that's good stuff. All right, so just like I said, this mother of pearl bead, this would do as the center for a Jack pair of earrings in the exact same way. So let's do the Sally ones, and then let's lay out a couple of different bead options from these two mixes for these great earrings, okay? All right, so to get started, we're going to start with just the basics. We're going to create the round component for our earring. Then I'm going to show you the little winding component that goes on the bottom, and then we'll just build everything together, okay? It's not a hard pair of earrings, but I am going to walk you through the two main components, and then we'll just put everything together. That part's always the easy part. All right, so for the main component, I'm using 18 gauge wire. I'm using German style in gold color. This is actually 20 gauge. I had that set to the side. Here is my 18 gauge wire. You can tell it's a little bit stronger, a little bit sturdier, okay? I've cut an extra long piece of this. You really only need about, I'd say about 6 or 7 inches of this, and then you're gonna have leftovers, okay? But better to be safe than sorry, I always say. So we're going to use our trusty artistic wire mandrel set tool. We're using the circles, and we normally use the bottom circle. I use the bottom circle probably the most, but we're actually going to step up and make it just a little bit smaller. This is actually, the step up from the bottom is a 25 millimeter. So if you don't have this mandrel tool, definitely go pick this up over on the Jessie James Beads website, or If you're in a pinch or you want to make these earrings before your mandrel gets to you, you can use anything that's got that 25 millimeter. A lot of times that will be something like a prescription bottle. You know, just the like average size prescription bottle is usually right around 25 millimeters. So that's a handy tool if you've got one on hand as you're waiting for your mandrel to come. All right, so all we're going to do is we're going to take our piece of 18 gauge wire and we're just going to lay it across that step up the 25 millimeter mandrel, and I'm just going to hold it down with my thumb, okay? And I'm kind of in the middle, but it really doesn't matter because my piece of wire, like I said, is way too large. All right, so holding it down, and then I'm just going to guide the wire with my 2 fingers all the way around, okay? And I want to pull that wire tight, like I'm over bending, okay, to make sure that I am definitely getting that 25 millimeter. All right, so now I'm going to take it off the tool, and you can see I have way more than I need. We're going to cut this right in the center. So I'm going to come in with my cutter tool, find the very center of that, and just cut it like that. Okay, so now my tail ends can go away. I can use those little pieces for something else. And now we have our perfect little circle here. The only problem is that because I cut this with the flush cutter, it's flush on one side, but not flush on the other side. So one of the edges is nice and flat, but the other one is not. So I'm going to come in with my flush cutter and just barely trim off so that now both sides are flush. And you can see just how tiny of an amount that I cut off there, okay? Just a teeny beany bit. Still want to keep that good 25 millimeters there. So now we actually have more like, I don't know, 24 3/4. I don't know. It's too early in the day to do math. Just making a guess. All right, so we're going to come in with our round nose pliers, and we're going to turn a loop on either side of the ends. That's why that flush cut was really important, because I want that flush cut of the wire to lay nicely up against the edge here, and I'll show you what I mean. So just kind of decide what size you want your your loop rather, to be, and go ahead and put your pliers in there. I'm not quite at the middle. Okay, so I'm down here. Always keep my loops on the small side. So I'm just grabbing one of those ends of the wire right with my round nose pliers, and I'm just going to roll back. Okay. And then when I show it to you, you can see where that flush cut is real important. See how nicely the end of that loop sits right on the surface of the long side of the wire, okay? You're not gonna get it to sit nice and pretty unless you've got a good flush cut on it, okay? All right, so I'm gonna do the same thing over here on the other side. I wanna really try to make sure that I make those loops as close to the same size as possible, okay? You don't want one to be tiny and then another one to be big and huge. You wanna try to keep them as similar as possible. Just rolling back, and we have created our loops on either side. Okay, mine, actually you can tell one of mine is a little bit bigger, just a tiny bit. I overshot just a little, but that's all right. It's not that big of a difference. But now if this one had been tiny and this one had been huge, it really would have made a big difference, and we would have had to start over. Anita says she's never seen the movie. Oh, you need to see it. It's so good. It's so good. It is definitely considered a classic. All right, so now just for good measure, even though we're using 18 gauge wire here and it is nice and sturdy, I still want to put this on my block and hit it with a nylon hammer just to work harden it just a little bit. It's not going to take a lot, but just a little. I do want to just pop it over on the other side. Now, if you're using something thicker than 18 gauge wire, which you don't have to use 18 gauge, you can use something heavier. You'll have to do less of the hardening for sure. All right. So here's our main component. It's ready to go. This part is completely finished. Like, there's nothing else that needs to be done to this. We're going to add some jump rings here at the top, add our bead here in the center, but as far as the component is concerned, excuse me, it's done. So I'm going to sit it to the side. Now, the next little thing that we're going to make is a little spiral out of the wire. And this is a handy little trick that I'm really hoping that you guys will take this and run with it. It is really easy to do, but it can be used in so many different ways. So we'll talk about that here in just a second. So what are you going to need for this? You're going to need a good long piece of 20 gauge wire. And again, this is way more than I actually need. I'm going to trim some of this off just so that it is out of my way. So 20 gauge wire, you can use any gauge for this, but 20 is really going to be a good balance for the 18 gauge. I would not do this with the 18 gauge just because it makes it too bulky and chunky. So definitely take a step down and use your 20 gauge, okay? I've got, I don't know, what does that look like? That looks like about 9 inches, actually. That's way more than we need. You'll probably be able to do this with about 5 inches of wire. So you're gonna need your small bail making pliers for this. This is super duper easy, okay? So we're gonna put the tip of the wire between the barrel of the pliers, and we're gonna turn our first loop, okay? And there's the first loop, and I haven't taken it off the pliers. I'm going to bring that down so that I've got plenty of wire, or plenty of room to wrap more wire around, okay? So now to do that, all I'm going to do, I'm not taking it off. I'm not opening up the jaw of the pliers. I'm just going to open and close and guide that wire with these 2 fingers, okay? Opening and closing, turning the tool with my hand. I don't have to turn the wire, but I am creating a nice spiral, or coil rather, of wire. This is a good way to make jump rings. If you don't have a jump ring maker, but you do have your bell making pliers, this is a handy way to make jump rings. So definitely plenty of uses for this. So I'm just going to wind the wire around. You can see all it is just a back and forth movement with my right hand. Okay, and as I come back, I open the pliers, close them down, bend, open, close, bend. Or not really a bend, but it's a turn, okay? Super easy to do, all right? Just use up your whole section of wire. And then you want to take that off of the pliers. You do have to wiggle just a little bit. And you've got about 1/2 inch of coiled wire. Okay, now you'll notice this last coil has got dents in it where it was being hit with the jaw of the pliers. I don't want any of that on there, so I'm going to trim that one off. Okay, just take it right on off of there. And up here on this side, I've got a little bit sticking out. I'm going to trim that off too. Okay, so now this is what we've got. Now, just in case you were wondering, what did I do with the other one that I had? I've got 2 of these. Oops. So one of them, let me show you, since we were talking about jump rings, because you will need jump rings for this project. So if you wanted to make jump rings while you're at it, you definitely can do that. I'm going to take a pair of cutters. Now, I brought in a different pair of cutters. This is, I have 2 pairs of these, just standard cutters. It's not a flush cutter. It's a semi-flush cutter, which is pretty much the standard. That's what I like to use when I cut jump rings. So if I were going to make jump rings out of this, I would just come in with my cutter, bring those in a few, so you can cut several of these at a time. Just snip and let them fall, okay? So if you wanted to make your own jump rings, like I said, this is the way to do it. Now, the question is, why do I use the semi-flush cutter and not the flush cutter? The reason is because it creates, let's see. So if you've got one that's flush and one that's not, they don't meet up very well. But if you've got them that are, both of them are both at an angle, they'll lay nicely. So they'll meet each other and make a seamless finish. Okay, so that's why I go with a semi-flush cutter or just a plain cutter tool instead of the flush cutter, if that makes sense. It just makes a more seamless jump ring. That's all. It just makes it close really nicely. So there you've got some jump rings if you need those for your project. Otherwise, we've still got a 1/2 inch coil here that we are going to use. And we are going to take our little coiled piece. And the first thing I like to do is I like to hold it between my index finger and my thumb and just kind of flat. You see what I'm doing? I'm just kind of pushing it down so that it's making the little loops lay down a little bit. Okay, see, so I've just given like a little angle to the loops. So now we no longer have a nice little round stack. We've got the beginnings of a squished out coil. Now I like to bring in my nylon jaw pliers for this, okay? And I like to take it and sit it just a little bit at a time. Don't take the whole thing and just put it in there and squash it. You don't want to do that, okay? You just want to put a little bit at a time and squeeze very gently with your nylon jaw pliers, okay? And what you're doing is you're laying down all those loops that you made. You're separating them out. And you're also not marking them up because you're using that nice nylon jaw here. So you're not marking up your wire. You're laying everything down. And I don't like to go super, super flat. But I definitely want to separate these out so that there's some space in between, okay? You can see the spaces in between. This is what it looks like from the side. So we went from a nice coiled section to this kind of flat centipede, you know, caterpillar thing. Whatever you want to call it. All right, so you just want to squish this guy out until you get all of them squished. And then you can always come in with your cutter tool if it's too long and trim off your ends. And like this one, you can see the little end is poking up on the top. I'm just going to trim that one off. So now I don't have that end poking out. And I'm just going to clean this one up a little bit too. Trim that one off. Okay. So just a little tidying up when you get finished. So what you want is you want to take your 1/2 inch of coil, lay it all down flat, and then you're going to end up with, it's really, sorry, I didn't mean to disappear from you guys. It's a little over 1 inch when you lay everything down. I was just checking on the ruler, okay? All right, so now we also want to give it a little bit of a curve shape. So I'm just using very, very gentle movements to create kind of a smiley face shape out of that, you know, just like a nice little curve. And I want to double check it with one that I've already made just to be sure that the length is right. If the length is not right and you need to pull it out just a little bit, you can just be really, really gentle about separating the little circles and really gentle about giving it a curve shape. Okay, so it doesn't take much. You just have to be gentle with it. That's really the main tip, is just be gentle. But you can see now I've opened up spaces here where I can slide jump rings in, and now I can hang dangles from this, which is exactly what we're going to do. Looks so satisfying to squash like that. It kind of is. It kind of is. That's probably next best to hammering anything, is squashing things. All right, so let me show you how this is going to lay with the component. Okay, so we have the component, laying it down, and now this is our little section that's going to hang on the bottom. Okay, and I do want to stretch mine out just a tiny, tiny bit, but the movements are so small, like you really, there we go. All right, so that's where, this is the placement of this guy. Okay, let me bring in the earrings so I can show you exactly where we're going. I'm going to use this bottom component attached to the top component. I'm going to hang some dangles from it, and then we're going to add our bead here in the center. Okay, so to add this to the component, the only thing that you're going to need is 2 jump rings, and we just made a set of jump rings, so how handy is that? All right, so I'm just going to bring in my pliers. Got 2 pairs here. Bring in my pliers and open up some of these jump rings. And I just want to catch the last loop. Okay, there's just a tiny amount of space there, but there's enough for a jump ring to hook to. And Sylvia, you crack me up. Ruler needs to make his appearance like Pee-wee's Playhouse. Oh my goodness, and Cherry. I don't know if you guys can hear, but I sit in like the most noisy chair in the whole world. And every time I move, I'm like, oh my gosh, these ladies must think that I have the worst like bowels ever. But I promise it's just the chair. I have Cherry and Ruler. All right, so I've opened up that jump ring. I put it on one of the last loops, and then all I'm going to do is just hook it to our component and close it back. Yeah, ruler needs a name. If you guys don't know the ruler, here's the ruler. This is the silliest ruler ever. It only goes to 11 inches. I don't know why. I have no idea why. But yeah, so my whole entire life revolves around 11-inch measurements. Yeah, it's just silly. All right, so there's one end. Now we're going to attach another jump ring to the other end just to have that component attached. Larry the ruler. I like it. I like it. All right, so I'm slipping that jump ring on. Okay, and then... Well, I'm not doing much of anything at the moment because it just slid right on off of the component. That's okay. We'll fix it. So apparently there's enough room where you can just slide this over that loop, which is fine. Probably would have been easier to do it that way. All right, so now the components are connected to each other. Okay, and that's exactly what we want. We've got a little bit of space there in between them when it hangs. See, you've got a little bit of movement there. That's exactly what we want. All right, now, before we move forward with the earring, I want you to think about this in terms of other jewelry design. Oh, L, like 11-inch straight. That's perfect. That's perfect. Since it's an 11-inch ruler, that makes sense. That makes good sense. All right, so think about this in terms of maybe a pendant for a necklace, okay? This I've seen you could go ahead and finish off the top here, add a bell to it, add some chain to it, and then you could hang, like, for instance, for Mother's Day or for a grandmother, all of the birthstones for your children or your grandchildren hanging from this little component here, and that would make a really beautiful pendant that you could definitely use that 25% off on the Swarovski that's on sale. You can hang some Swarovski from here. Okay, so you can use this little component in a lot of different ways. You could take this exact same component, shorten this up. Okay, just imagine that there's only this much. Let me cover it up. This much of the wire. Okay, and do like 3 or 4 of them, and then hang things from them so that you had a necklace full of these like little half moon shapes with all of these. I mean, you could get kind of crazy with this. So I definitely just wanted to show you one little trick that you can take and use in a million different ways, which is super cool, super, super cool. All right, so we are turning our hours into earrings. All right, so we need to put together our dangles, and that's what we're going to do next. So I'm just going to take this and I'm going to sit it to the side for just a minute while we work up the dangles. So the main part of our earring is this beautiful mother of pearl bead that has Sally's dress on it. Okay, so this is going to be the main focal. We are going to use one of our handy eye pins. I probably should have already cut my wire, but that's okay. So we are going to take a piece of 22 gauge wire. This is way more than you need. Let's trim it off and get a little bit more realistic here with our measurements. All right, so now I'm going to come in. You guys have seen me do this a bunch, but for those of you who haven't, this is always requested. All right, so I'm going to grab the tail end of that 22 gauge wire with my round nose pliers, and I'm going to create a loop right at the very, very tip of the pliers, okay? And before I take it off the pliers, I'm going to do a second loop directly underneath the first one. And when you see the sharp end or the flat, shiny end of the wire, that's where you want to stop, okay? So you've got 2 full loops right on the tip of your pliers. Now, before you take it off of the pliers, bend it up 90 degrees. Okay, now take it off of your pliers. You can see you've got 2 little coiled loops here on the end. We're going to take the tail end of that wire and we're going to thread it through those 2 coils. So we're going back the other direction. Okay, just like so. All right, now I'm going to come in with the Nylon Jaw Pliers. You guys, Nylon Jaw Pliers are your friend. If you don't own a pair of these, grab a pair of these while you're shopping on that 25% off and grabbing your Jack and Sally mixes. All right, so I'm going to come in with another pair of pliers and pull that wire through. I've created a cute little rosette here. So now I have a nice little head pin for my wire, or for my bead rather. I'm going to thread my bead on, and it's going to sit right on top of that little rosette that we made. Okay. All right, now we're just going to create a wrapped loop. Grabbing the wire with my chain nose pliers, I'm going to bend that wire 90 degrees. Okay. And then coming in with the round nose pliers, up and over, adjusting the grip, guide the wire on around, switching hands, and then I'm just going to take my tail end of the wire and wrap around about 3 times. So I've got a nice wire wrapped loop at the top of my bead if it would focus. All right, there we go. Okay, so now I'm going to trim off my tail, and our main focal bead is ready to go. So I'm just going to sit it to the side for a minute, and we're going to do the same thing with these 3. Okay, now I've already made the head pins for these, so we don't have to go through that again. So we're just going to do the wire wrapping because apparently you guys like to see me make wrapped loops, which I think is very strange, but I'll go with it. I'm a crowd pleaser. What can I say? Uh-oh, my bead just fell into the floor. Hold on. Oh gosh, and I hit my head on the table. That's awesome. Oh my gosh, are you sure it's not Monday? It certainly feels like a Monday. Okay, so there we go. I'm going to sit these 2 to the side for a second, and we're going to do our wraps loops just like the others, grabbing the wire right at the top of the bead. Bend. All right, now I've got my round nose pliers, up and over. Okay, and now I'm just going to wire wrap. And this is the same gauge wire. This is 22. You can do this with 24. If you feel like the wire is too overpowering, if you feel like it's too heavy, looks wise, not necessarily in heaviness, like in weight, but if you feel like it looks too heavy, definitely step down to 24 gauge. I know that with a smaller bead, sometimes this bottom rosette that we make can feel a little overpowering. So if you feel like it's too much metal that's showing, definitely step it down to the 24 gauge, and it'll make just a smaller little knot. All right, same thing. Up and over. And then just wire wrap. Okay, gonna trim that off. There's that one. We got one more to go. And then we are just going to build our earring. I'm going to show you just how easy it is because it really is simple. There's not any counting of those loops required. We're just going to eyeball it. And I love projects like that where you don't have to get super precise with it. It's always nice to just be able to mindlessly make something, you know? We don't have to think about it too much. Wrapped loop. And trim that off. All right. Everybody's talking about the wire wrapped loops. You guys are so cute. I love it. All right, so there are our 3 dangles. This is our center dangle that's going to hang. And we're going to bring in our component just to kind of show where all the placement for everything is going to be. So the first thing we're going to do is let's attach these guys. Okay, these are pretty simple. Like I said, no counting involved. I like it when I don't have to count. I don't want to have to count out my loops. This is really just eyeball it. All right, so I'm opening up a jump ring and I'm going to hold up my component here. Now that last loop where we've attached it to the component is the same one we're going to use to attach one of our pink dangle beads. Okay, close that up. All right, and so now we're going to do the same thing on the other side. Just looping through that last loop and then closing that up. All right, so now when you lay it down flat, okay, these obviously mark the ends. Now all we want to do is find the center. And if you're, if you're really particular, you certainly can count all of these loops and find the center if you want to. I'm not going to be that precise today. Just not feeling it. Have not had enough coffee to make that kind of decision. So I'm just going to open up a jump ring and I'm just going to eyeball this. I'm going to bring it up to my face a little bit closer to you guys for sure. And I'm just going to kind of guess. Like this looks like the middle to me. So I'm going to stick that jump ring through there and then loop on my bead. Now, if I do this part and I attach it and it looks a little off, I can always move it one direction or the other. But I'm not about counting today. Just not feeling it. Eyeballing it is good enough for me. For one thing, it's difficult to tell exactly what the center is because of the illusion that this flattened coil creates. So even if you're off one direction or the other, it really is not gonna, you're not gonna notice it. Okay, so that looks good. That looks like the middle to me. I'm going with it. All right, so the bottom part of our earring is ready to go. Now all we have to do is assemble the top, and all we're gonna do is just use a series of jump rings. I'm using a larger jump ring for the center. I'm sorry, I don't have an exact measurement on this because it was just a homemade jump ring, so it doesn't really, if I had to guess, I'd say that's like a 7, because these are definitely not 4s. These are more like a 5. So I have a 5 and a 7, which is not your normal jump ring sizes. That's why I say, you know, 4 and 6. If you've got standard jump ring sizes, that's what you're going to go for. But I'm totally off and odd, so I'm using 5s and 7s. All right, so I'm just going to open up one of those jump rings, loop it through one of the loops at the top of our earring component. I'm going to go ahead and close that. I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. Looping it through, closing it back. All right, so now the larger jump ring is going to be the one that has the most work to do. This guy's going to loop through both of those jump rings. It's also going to have our bead hanging on it and our ear wire. So if you want to go ahead and bring your ear wire in, you can do this too, or you can open up the loop on your ear wire. It makes no difference. It's really just kind of personal preference. All right, so I'm going to loop through one of the jump rings on one side. I want to be sure that I get our bead next, and then our jump ring on the other side. Now, this is going to tighten everything down as far as your component is concerned. It's going to pull it in, okay? And it's going to want to spring back into shape. So you might want to just give the top of it just a tiny, tiny little squeeze to make it behave, okay? So now before I close my jump ring, I am going to go ahead and thread on my ear wire and just be done with that part. It really just depends on what kind of ear wire you're using and all of that. You know, those little things are really kind of trivial and can be any number of things. So now our earring is done. Like, that's how easy it was. This is really just 2 wire components that, you know, the circle that we've done before, move you just a little bit, hold on. The circle that we've done before, sorry about the glare, it really bothers me. That you can turn into a pendant very, very easily. And then this new thing that we've done down here at the bottom is just some coiled wire that we flattened out. It was not hard, you know, it was really just a simple little thing that you could work up. I mean, really the coiled wire, that just kind of, to me, is like a doodad. I just sit and make doodads when I'm, or whatever you want to call them, thingamajigs or whatever, you know, when you're just sitting mindlessly playing with wire and thinking about something else, and then before you know it, you've got something that you can actually turn into an actual component to a piece of jewelry. It's funny how things like that happen. All right, so these are the earrings with the Sally beads, but let's talk more about the Sally mix, because just to give you guys an idea of how you could take the exact same earring with the exact same mix and mix this up, okay? So maybe you want to use the Sally dress beads just on their own as earrings all by themselves, and you don't want to make anything, you know, with them other than just a plain earring with an ear wire. That's awesome. You can do that. Then you can use these guys in the center instead. So now you've got 2 pairs of earrings, okay? So this guy could be the center bead if you wanted it to be. You could even use the tassel as the center bead, which I think would be really interesting looking, or you could hang the tassel down here on the bottom, which would also be super, super cool. You can hang let's see, what else have we got? We've got these guys that look really good with this guy. So these could go on the bottom if you wanted. Like you could put this and then that with your wire components and have like a whole totally different look of an earring, okay? With the exact same set. And I'm not missing that much more of the beads. Like I still have a whole pile of beads here where I can make the matching earring to go with this one. And then I can work up some more. I can use this guy as the center bead if I wanted to, and use the little black roses on the bottom. You could use 3 roses on the bottom. You could use 2 roses on the bottom and a cage bead. Like you could take this whole mix, same earring design, and make, I'm seeing at least 4 or 5 more pairs of earrings. That's in addition to the ones that we've already made. So if that gives you any indication of like how many beads you get in a mini mix, that's pretty amazing. Like you can make the exact same earring 5 more times. I'm always just amazed at how much comes in these little containers. I mean, it really is always shocking when you dump it out. You're like, whoa, I had no idea there was all of that in that little mini mix. Don't be fooled by the mini word, because even though it's a miniature little container, that does not, they're not skimping on the beads by any stretch of the imagination. All right, so let's talk about Jack, because you can do this exact same earring with Jack. And so let's just lay out one, take the other one away, just so we've got a little bit more room here. All right, so there's the Sally earring. All right, imagine exact same earring with Jack as the focal, okay? And let's see, so our earrings, what would we want on the bottom? You could use this guy as a focal. Look how different that bead shape is. Like, that's super cool. You've got the little rondelles, so you could put your rondelles on either side, and then you could put a cage bead on the bottom, right? And you could use these little pops of yellow with your rondelles, which would be so cute. You could add in your little hematite spacers. This is the same kind of thing. Like, I can think of a bunch of different combinations here. This would make a good center bead. This would make a good center bead. This guy would be perfect. So same earring design, but I see at least 3 or 4 other ways with additional beads that I could work up the exact same earring. Okay, so you just got 2 different color palettes here. I've given you the design inspiration. You can take it and run with it, and you could create at least 5 pairs of earrings with the Sally mix and 5 pairs of earrings with the Jack mix. You've got 10 pairs of earrings. That's going to get you really, really far. If we're talking about reselling, or we're talking about putting together a craft booth, or you know, if you're selling on a website or whatever, just from one of the mini mixes to get 5 pairs of earrings out of, I'm just saying, I don't know any other place where you can do that. I think it's really cool. And not only that, but you've also got the color scheme. So, you know, you've created a little line. If you want to be like, you know, fancy in the fashion industry, I have a whole line of Jack inspired earrings, you know? And so then your customer's like, ooh, I want every earring in the whole Jack line. See, how fancy is that? How fancy and fun is that, right? I think it's great. Look at Jack. He's just so handsome. I love Jack's little outfit. Just a cutie pootie. All right, I'm gonna flip you guys around, and I'm gonna hold this earring up, or I'll put one on or whatever, and we can then say our goodbyes. This has been a fun project. I hope that you guys have enjoyed this one. I really, really love it. Sometimes I will make something and then I take it apart and put the beads back or turn them into something else. And this is not one of those. This is one where I'm going to keep these earrings because I just think they're so cool, and I'm going to make a pair out of Jack as well. The Sally ones you could get away with wearing all year. The Jack ones, let's be honest, I would wear them all year too, but you know. That's because I have no shame, and it's Halloween every day here. All right, so put this earring on. Look at that. See how cute? I hate the way I say cute. Cute, isn't that cute? Yeah. So I think those are super, super fun. Definitely an earring you could small. You could small. Those are not even words that go together. You could size down. instead of using the 25 millimeter on this loop here, if you wanted to make a smaller, more understated earring, you could certainly take this entire design and just scale it down just a little bit. So, all right, that's it. Hooray! I had such a good time with you guys. I love it. I always love getting to come and chat with you guys and make a project. It's always the highlight of my week. So thank you all for joining me today. It was great to see everybody. If you want to follow me, slow down. If you want to follow me over to the Silver Silk page on Facebook, I'm going to be doing a project over there as well. And I'm using beads from the Jack Mix from Jessie James Beads, of course. So I'm going to be doing that at 12:30. So in 30 minutes, I'm going to take myself a little bit of a break. Before I was going directly from here to there, but I am giving myself a little bit of a break. I'm going to reset just a little bit if you want to join me over there. And you can join me tomorrow on Sara Ellis Designs at 1 p.m. I'm going to be using the, let's see, where is it at? Gotta find it so I can show it to you. What have I done with it? Well, goodness. It's the Pumpkin King mix. I don't know. It's right here behind me. The Pumpkin King mix. So there's more Jack. More Jack. Yep. More Halloween going on tomorrow. So if you guys want to see a necklace that I'm going to use that mix with, definitely come check that out as well on my own Facebook page. Otherwise, you guys have a wonderful rest of the afternoon. Definitely take advantage of the 25% off on the Swarovski. You cannot beat that deal. Go get you some orange, get you some opal rosewater, Swarovski, or any that kind of strike your fancy. Definitely add those into your cart when you're picking up your Jack and Sally mixes, because the Jack and Sally mixes will go really, really long way. All right, you guys have a wonderful afternoon, and I will see you guys same time, same place next week. Bye, guys.